The weekend of events is drawing to a close. Present circumstances have dictated that, wanting to respect our need to protect those around us as best we can from the dangers of contagion, we've not been able to meet in a more personal way. But the sense of community has nonetheless been present and important. Virtual online gatherings certainly do not provide the immediacy of encounter with one another, but they still allow us to achieve a sense of being together and of sharing ideas and hopes. There's a real possibility to learn from one another, and I'm grateful to everyone who has contributed and taken part, and I hope that everyone will have a sense of purpose, which can be a guide for actions in the coming days and weeks. There's a real consistency in the teaching of Pope Francis. He sees everything as connected. That is a major theme underlying his second encyclical Laudato Si. He states very forcibly that we are all brothers and sisters who have a responsibility for our common home. He has shown us so much evidence of the damage that we are continuing to inflict on our common home, plundering its resources mainly for the benefit of wealthy nations and making it, quote, a pile of filth, close quote, through our waste as a throwaway generation. This document has done so much to help educate our present generation about the catastrophe that we face through climate change. We are entering the 6th mass extinction, the first one to be man-made. Pope Francis has spoken to the whole world, well beyond the family of the Church. 2 weeks ago, Pope Francis issued his third encyclical, Fratelli Tutti. It is strongly connected to Laudato Si and reinforces the sense of our bond with our brothers and sisters throughout the world. He concentrates on 2 principles: that all people have a right to their God-given dignity, and all of us have our part to play. It was published on the feast of St. Francis of Assisi, the saint who has been the inspiration for so much of Pope Francis's teaching, and from whom the Pope took his own name as Pope. The encyclical has been some 2 years in the writing, but its publication at this time is so significant. Yes, we certainly need the commitment of governments and industry with all their power and resources to work towards a world of peace where every individual is valued and has dignity. Pope Francis calls on us to create a new kind of politics which has long-term vision and employs encounter and dialogue. He says, quote, politics is something more noble than posturing, marketing and media spin. Politics, he says, must make room for the tender love of others. Politics must become more global in its outlook, with a sense of collaboration between nations. But we cannot leave the future to politics and politicians. Pope Francis does not suggest that the remedies to our problems and to climate change will just be from the top down. He is always insistent that each and every one of us, no matter what our age, abilities or state of life, is a missionary disciple. In Fratelli Tutti, he is insistent on the role of the local communities and every level of social gathering. We need to be aware of our traditions and culture, and then be careful not to build walls that separate us from the wider world, but we must encounter others, and with dialogue we share our wisdom and knowledge. As the Catholic Church, we have the wonderful sense of unity of purpose through our parishes, our schools and religious orders. We have so much to learn from one another, and then the possibility of sharing best practice with others. Our collaboration in this way will have a practical impact well beyond what we may imagine. I've been very impressed by my visits to schools where the pupils, often only of primary school age, are really enjoying engaging in practical projects, reading, writing and counting and caring for the environment. Individuals in our parishes have simply started projects concerning waste management or gardening or sharing transport and saving electricity, which others have been drawn in to share. Simple measures begin to achieve much. What can accompany us in our mission? First, we have our faith. The present pandemic has given us the opportunity to revisit what our faith needs to be in our lives. Faith cannot be something that we just have intellectually in our heads, that simply gives us an identity. Faith is not simply a list of beliefs and rules to be accepted and observed. Faith is something that needs to guide our every action, educating our decisions and choices. Faith puts into action the two most important commandments. The first is that we must love the Lord our God with all our heart, soul, mind and strength. The second is that we must love our neighbour as ourselves. Faith calls us to be alert to the opportunities to love that can arise in every event of our day. Our prayer remains essential as a foundation for all our work and is the key to any progress that we may be able to make. St. Paul encourages us when he says in his letter to the Philippians, "There's no need to worry, but if there is anything you need, pray for it, asking God for it with prayer and thanksgiving." We need to remind ourselves of the power of prayer in all the circumstances of our lives. Prayer invites God into our lives and actions. Our contemplation in prayer helps us to value all that we have, to recognize the beauty of nature and its delicacy, and to remind us of our co-responsibility in protecting the dignity and well-being of all our brothers and sisters. Let me finish with a word about hope. The Pope calls us to hope. In a recent general audience, he said, "Hope is audacious." And in Fratelli Tutti, he says, and I quote, "I invite everyone to renewed hope, for hope speaks to us of something deeply rooted in every human heart, independently of our circumstances and historical conditioning. Hope speaks to us of a thirst, an aspiration, a longing for a life of fulfillment, a desire to achieve great things, things that fill our heart and lift our spirit to lofty realities like truth, goodness, beauty, justice and love. Hope is bold. It can look beyond personal convenience, the petty securities and compensations which limit our horizon, and it can open us up to grand ideals that make life more beautiful and worthwhile. Let us continue then to advance along the paths of hope." The end of the quote. Thank you for whatever part you may have had in these events this weekend. I hope that all of us can begin tomorrow and each day with the reassurance of hope and the knowledge that we can surely make the difference that will transform the lives of our brothers and sisters with dignity and love and care for the gift to us all that is our common home. Taking practical steps, even in small ways, and sharing our practice with others, particularly in our parish communities, we will speak with increasing authority about what needs to be done and how we can all be part of repairing our world and ensuring the dignity of our brothers and sisters. In the Diocese of Salford, we have adopted a very simple prayer, just 7 words. But it seems to be having an impact on our practical living and gives a sense of purpose and reassurance. The prayer is simply, "Stay with us, Lord, on our journey." We believe that if the Lord stays with us on our journey, which at the moment is taking us through a time of pandemic, we know that we're going in the right direction and, more or less, the right speed. May God bless you all, keep you in your good works, and let's dream and pray for a better tomorrow.